Alright, so this is the last episode for this season. I'll be starting the third season soon. Please keep giving me your love, your support, your feedback. It helps us to go forward on this journey in a beautiful manner. Informal observations are as useful as formal feedback as you gather information. Start noticing others' reactions to your voice. Remind yourself to be casual and impartial. You can easily jump to conclusions or become defensive about what you want to discover. Pretend that you are a scientist observing a subject and take note of all that you can about the effect of your voice. For example, do people often ask you to repeat what you say or not notice that you have spoken? This was one of the problems with one of my students. Do you see people leaning forward to hear or maybe backing away? Mentally log your observations and ask yourself what you may do differently to have a different impact on your listeners. Another trick is recognizing your unique sound. Your voice is yours alone. You don't sound like anyone else. It's your unique signature, your unique identity. Your voice is an amalgamation of many different factors, resulting in a unique sound and manner of speaking. Before you can understand your voice, understand the factors. At the simplest level, your voice depends on the shape of your body. A violin doesn't sound like a cello because it's violin size. Twins sound similar partly because they have similar bone structure, particularly of their skulls. Every violin is still different from other violins, and even twins develop differences in their voices as they mature. You sound the way you do because of how you hold yourself. If you stand stiffly like a sergeant major, you sound different from someone who slouches as if down on their luck. Posture affects your voice. Your sound depends on how you hear others and use your ears. Listening is key to finding out how to speak in the first place and then affects your ability to modulate your sound as you mature. Your sound depends on how you play your vocal instrument. It is influenced by your thinking and your feeling. Your sound is affected by the kind of person you think you are, as well as the kind of person you wish you were and the kind of person you fear you may be. If you suspect that you are a boring person, you tend to produce a boring voice. If you aspire to be confident, you try to inject that into your voice. As your confidence waxes and wanes, your voice changes in the quality. Similarly, your voice reflects whether you are more of a slow, a deep thinker, a quick, a spontaneous one. Your mind, body and soul connection, we will talk in the upcoming episodes or mainly in the next season. Your voice depends on what sounds you prefer. Your attempts to sound the way you want to are bound up with your sense of identity and how you see yourself fitting in with respect to class, education, cultural environment and so on. We will talk about regional and class accents. Your voice is who you allow yourself to be. Which aspects of your personality come out in your voice, which remain hidden, the whole palette of expressions available to you. But you may neglect certain voice tones such as the intimate voice, the silly voice, the ecstatic voice, or the tones of sadness or anger. Some voice teachers say that changing the way you sound is difficult and that you are on the whole stuck with what you've got. No, that's not right. Your voice isn't like your fingerprint, totally distinctive and unchanging through your life. Changing your voice may be a challenge if you approach the task purely physically through tuition exercises. But lessons and practice only get you so far because your voice represents so much more than the physical. When you change emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, your voice changes naturally. Finding yourself, you find your voice. Let's talk about gathering insights into your voice. You may worry that your accent or your way of speaking gives away too much information about where you were born, raised or educated. How is that an area of concern for you? You're only giving a sense of closure to the people. Your voice gives away even more information about you than that. Your voice is absolutely full of clues and cues about your physical size, your race, your birthplace, your social age, your age, and probably your occupation too. It also gives a bit about the nuance about your mood, your attitude. It's a barometer of your state of health and well-being. It reveals whether you're stressed, tired, or drunk. It suggests your state of mind, your level of confidence, your ability to connect. Who needs complicated psychological instrument to test people? Your voice evolves all this even as you toss off a brief comment. Going to rain, don't you think? I read of an experiment where two violinists One a very well-trained famous player, other a fine amateur. They took turns to play both an ordinary violin and Stradivarius behind us. The musical expert assessed the sounds. You may guess that the instruments would make the biggest difference, but this wasn't the case. The biggest difference, the sound came from the players themselves. The famous player made a wonderful sound on both instruments. You can relate the story to your voice. Your instrument is predetermined. Your vocal cords are of a particular length or physical makeup, but the way you use them will make the difference. That's a major tip I'm giving you guys. Whatever your physical makeup, the way you play your instrument tells the story of who you are. How relaxed and supple you are. How much and in what ways you utilize your voice. How you respond to people and how much you desire to connect with them. How you have responded to your life up to now, whether you have sailed through life, you've struggled every inch of the way. How you see yourself in the world, especially how much you play a role or how much you feel at ease in your own shoes. This is extremely important. It's a very major tip I always give to my students. Let's talk about picking up the traces of the human voice. Your voice is sticky. It picks up attributes as you go through life. We have talked about the concept of sound sponge in my previous episodes. You can check them out there if you're listening for the first time. If you go to school in one part of the country and you move as an adult to the another, your accent changes. If as a child you make close friends with a child with a different way of speaking, your voice picks up nuances. Intonation, accent, rhythm, idiosyncrasies. Your voice is influenced particularly by people you admire and choose as role models. You may think that with this stickiness, at least members of a single family all speak the same way, but voices within families aren't always similar. I was surprised when I first met the children of a colleague who is a university professor and speaks in patrician tones. His son spoke with a strong regional accent, picked up from other children at his school. You wouldn't know that parent and child were even related. Some people have a very particularly sticky voice and react instantly to whatever they hear. They speak to children like children, to other people in quavering voices, or to foreigners in foreign accents. If they're part of a group where one person is speaking in a broad southern drawl, these people find themselves doing the same, even though the rest of the group may be cringing in embarrassment to hear what sounds like a theatrical act. When you go into the experience, you will understand. I don't think you understand this right now, and some people might be able to relate to it who are into theatrics. Let me give you an example. I was at Buba's house when the electrician arrived. Buba is a city lawyer. He specializes in complex international finance cases. He is a convincing public speaker whose deep tones speak of authority and confidence. However, the moment Buba greets the electrician, I realized that the person I knew had departed. "Hi, Terry," he quipped in a high-pitched voice. "All right, yeah, it's the old socket, playing up something awful, only put in last year. I ask you, can you trust him? Can you trust me?" It was an extraordinary performance. He was picking up traces of the electrician's way of speaking, converting it into a speech, exaggerated the stereotype of electricians worldwide. When I mentioned his new accent afterwards, he had no idea his voice had changed at all. He was thinking about the voice. He was thinking about the voice patterns. He was thinking about the halo effect or the stereotypical attitude or the certain type of a voice that the person would be having. A stereotype. He created a stereotype voice and he kept on repeating that without even being aware, which we call unconscious competence. When you become more aware of your voice, you can moderate the tendency to mimic and save yourself from the embarrassment. However, the ability to match someone else's accent and the way of speaking, when owned and polished, comes in useful as a means to create a closer connection with others. I will cover creating connections with your voice in more detail in the third season. And also, we will talk a bit about storytelling and how to tell your life story with the right sounds. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this particular season and the rest of the seasons were beneficial for you. Please let me know your comments, your feedbacks, anything, any suggestions that you want me to talk about, any particular topics you want me to cover. Wonderful connecting with all of you. I hope I'm creating an impact in your life. Thank you. See you in the next season. Take care. Bye-bye.